Rodeo, one of the last bastions of the American West. It's revered in small towns like Sheridan, Wyoming, and metropolises like Houston, Texas. I've been to a few rodeos in my lifetime, watching cowboys attempt to stay on the back of a bucking bronc and cowgirls rope calves for a belt buckle and big prize money. My dad's an old cowboy at heart, but it didn't pass down to his son. I really didn't see the appeal of being a cowboy when I was younger. I didn't want to feed horses or muck out stalls or ride off into the sunset on the back of a horse. I was more interested in playing and watching basketball. I wanted to be a professional basketball player, but because I'm not tall, I thought my best route to the NBA was either as a coach or a broadcast announcer. Well, as you may have guessed, neither of those dreams panned out. Now, cowgirl Jacey Hupp's early dreams were similar to mine.
I thought I was going to the WNBA and all the things, and loved basketball, loved softball, loved soccer, all the things. And then rodeo started turning on for me, and then nothing else clung to me, and nothing else I was as passionate about.
Jacey has lived out those rodeo fantasies, competing in breakaway roping and goat tying.
I was not a nervous competitor myself. I felt like I could handle pressure. I actually preferred it. Pressure is privilege.
But the pressure is a bit different now that she's the women's rodeo coach at the University of Wyoming.
When it comes to my students, I have never been more nervous in my life. I don't know, it's just because I just feel helpless, or I don't know, but I get very nervous when they're competing. My watch will even tell me, like, did you fall? Why is your heart rate almost at 100? So that I did not anticipate.
Jacey loves her job because it's much more than just rodeo.
There is a lot of just feeling real purpose, whether that be I helped somebody, whether that was there for someone, whether I had a talk with someone that I think they needed. So I think just the immediate purpose is that I feel that on a level I've never really felt before.
But that purpose could have been so much different. One disaster could have changed everything.
I remember for about a week after the accident, I was kind of in zombie mode. Wasn't really eating, wasn't really sleeping, just kind of there.
This is BYU Radio's Big Stories, telling amazing and inspiring tales from the Big 12 and beyond. I'm your host, Cleon Wall. Our episode, Cowgirl Up, like Jacey Hupp.
Being a cowgirl means more than being in the rodeo arena.
Jacey did not grow up dreaming of wearing the brown and gold of the Wyoming Cowboys and Cowgirls. She was raised in neighboring South Dakota.
So Huron's a decently small town in South Dakota. A lot of agriculture, a lot of farming, a lot of cows, and we are the home of the world's largest pheasant. Go us.
The 28-foot-tall, 22-ton fiberglass and steel pheasant is somewhat of a tourist attraction for people who want a picture of the big bird right off of US 14. But people don't stick around for the fake pheasant.
You know, it's one of those things when you live here, you feel it.
Tarin is Jacey's older sister.
It's a state we're proud to be from, and both my husband and I are born and raised, and I say we plan to stay, that this is where we hope to raise our family. I love coming back home to Huron, and we have so many good memories here, and we want to keep coming back. You know, we want to keep making those memories.
My parents moved there about a year before I was born, and one of the first things that my dad built was the arena.
Just like a basketball-crazed dad would install a backboard and hoop so his kids could practice their shooting skills, Bill Hupp built a rodeo arena to teach his children the tricks of the trade.
Dad came from the rodeo background. Mom didn't, but Mom was always there writing times down, making sure you had a big water jug she carried around with ice and snacks. You know, Mom found her niche.
LaDonna Hupp also taught others how to be a rodeo parent.
But Dad, he drove it home a little bit harder in that rodeo arena.
Here is Jacey and Tarin's older brother, Trevor.
We didn't know anything different. We were out there and we were in that arena and we were roping.
I remember Dad and Mom just being so excited when we got the lights and we put in really good lights in the arena, and Dad really wanted to get them turned on just right so that, you know, when it was dark, we could keep practicing if we wanted to and take advantage of that.
I really attribute a lot to my parents too, because they would work their 8 to 5 job and then get home, change clothes, head out to the arena. So if I was going to be the one sitting in the house, I'd be pretty dang bored. So I really just followed the rest of the family out there.
If you want to be successful, there's not a lot of coaches you can go and find until it's college. You can go to a clinic for a weekend, but if you want to be successful in the sport of rodeo, it's at home. It's in your arena.
And the neat part about it is we just did everything together. I mean, so when you're going to 4-H rodeos or high school rodeos, we're all in a pickup together going, spending the weekend in places. And then if we're not going to rodeos on the weekend, we're out here in the arena and we're doing it all together.
Each of the siblings were rodeo standouts.
How many saddles and buckles do you guys got between 4-H and high school?
I think I had over 80 buckles.
Let's just say they have a lot of buckles and saddles and other awards from their exploits. And since Tarin competed against JC in events, it wasn't always a friendly rivalry.
As an older sister, I'll admit, when we were younger, we didn't always get along as good. You know, you didn't quite see the competition right. But when she won her saddle in high school, won that title, she was the only one of us kids to make nationals. We kind of joked that there was a curse, or Trevor came close, couldn't quite get it done. I came close, couldn't quite get it done. Jacey's senior year, she finally punched her ticket to be able to go to high school nationals, and it was amazing.
Tarin then encouraged JC to join her at South Dakota State for her last year on the Jackrabbits rodeo team.
Our rooms are right next to each other. So she hung a note on my door, and when I woke up in the morning, I read it, and my nickname is Barn Cat, and that's a whole nother story. But she wrote a note, and she said, "Hey, Barn Cat, I'm gonna come rodeo with you at SDSU, and we've got a year." And you know, to have that, when we hit college, having Jacey there was the best, because if our rodeo run didn't go quite great, we wanted to put in extra runs, she's the one that would get up with me at 6 a.m. Let's go tie some goats, let's go do this. And then at night, we would practice, and it jives.
I want to win mentality by far, but at the same time, it's like, I practice with you every day, I work with you every day, I know how hard you work. Okay, maybe if one person can beat me, it can be you, type of mentality. So it's not like we ever backed off from each other, but we also were never discouraged at each other if one of us did end up beating each other. So it was a really cool dynamic that you really don't see in a lot of sibling relationships.
I had a good college buddy, he was a senior like me, giving me a hard time, and he's like, "How's it feel to be beat by your sister?" And I said, "Good." I said, "I have taught her everything I know and then some. If she's not able to beat me as an older sister, I did something wrong. She should be better than me. I've learned stuff. I hope she's picked things up. And then, if she beats me, at least I know she deserved it. She didn't just get lucky. She's working hard."
The sisters both worked hard and made it to the College National Finals Rodeo, their lone year together. Then JC continued the Hupp legacy at SDSU, taking care of business in the classroom and the rodeo arena.
When I had horses in town, I was a little more laced and had a schedule, and horses do this, so I'm not staying out all night, all the things. In college, I was eating ramen noodles, and my horse was not. He was eating well.
Eating aside, the two were a great team. JC ended up a 5-time College National Finals rodeo qualifier. What made the feat even more amazing is how a rope almost derailed her college career. In the fall of 2018, JC chose to compete in a team roping event in Nebraska. The competition was just for fun and part of a rodeo fundraiser. She attempted to lasso a steer around the head, but it only made it around the horn. The rope slid off the point, snapped back, and struck JC in her right eye. Some in the arena said it sounded like a gunshot when it happened. JC was rushed by pickup to a hospital. With so much swelling and bleeding, it was hard to determine the seriousness of the injury. Eventually, doctors discovered that her retina and pupil were severely damaged.
So I waited essentially a year for surgery. I was on the couch and on my butt more than I ever wanted to be. But it really, there was definitely a point in time, and I talked through with my parents, like, am I going to rope again? Am I going to tie again? And I kind of thought I'd maybe just be a barrel racer where things weren't so hands-on, but essentially just through the help of my parents and my family, they just kind of said, yep, you're doing this.
In July of 2019, a surgery replaced 80% of JC's right eye. But she did compete again the very next month and finished out her collegiate rodeo career.
I did think in college losing my one eye was going to be the worst thing that ever happened to me. And so there was probably a part of me that thought that I already got through some tough things.
Her life was about to get tougher.
This definitely took me back a bit.
This is BYU Radio's Big Stories. Hey everyone, this is Cleon Wall. We hope you are enjoying this season of Big Stories. We love bringing you these stories that inspire and can also humble you. Now, if you are looking for another podcast which also has great stories and talks about all things BYU women's sports, then make sure you check out the Her Why podcast. It's hosted by Lauren McLean. You'll hear from current coaches like Jen Rockwood and Heather Olmstead, and athletes like BYU basketball's Amari Whiting and Cougar soccer star Ellie Walbrook. You'll also hear from legends like Olympic runner Courtney Wayment and Utah Royals forward Brecken Mozingo. So make sure you subscribe to Her Why wherever you find podcasts or on the BYU Radio app. Welcome back to this episode of BYU Radio's Big Stories, Cowgirl Up like Jacey Hupp. Jacey is quite the competitor, playing different sports as a teen.
I really, really enjoyed volleyball and even thought about playing college volleyball, but I never woke up in the morning and thought about volleyball or went to sleep, and that was the last thing I thought of, but I did about rodeo.
It's not surprising how she was nurtured in all aspects of rodeo.
Yeah, rodeo was very much a family sport for us, and it's even hard to even describe a sport. It was just what we did together.
The Hupps rodeoed all the time.
It'd be kind of funny because you go back to school, especially in elementary school, and your teachers would ask you, "Where'd you go this summer? What'd you do?" And just like, well, I rodeoed.
Jacey competed in roping events through high school and college and still participates today despite some setbacks.
I had a rope snap back and hit me right in the eye, and now I cannot see out of that eye.
But making a career out of rodeo didn't seem to be in the cards. After graduating from South Dakota State University, Jacey was working as a loan officer and practicing rodeo in the evenings at her parents' home in Huron.
My sister and I would do goat tying clinics, and I always loved it. And my parents are always really supportive and kind of financially helped us. And my dad especially would always ask, like, how'd the weekend go? Give me all the updates. And I just always said, like, in a perfect world, this is what I do to pay the bills, but it's never going to.
Then, in February of 2023, the University of Wyoming contacted her about a potential position as women's rodeo coach.
And I visited in April, and I fell in love with campus. I fell in love with the university. I told my parents about it, and my dad especially was very excited and very openly excited about it. My dad always just said, like, you can go back to your job or maybe find someone in a bank, or there's light at the end of the tunnel if it doesn't work out. And I kind of just was asking my mom, are you sure you think it would? And she finally said in her just reserved voice, like, it hasn't been done before. So, and that, to me, that was her, yes, do it.
But Jacey never did it. She didn't take the job. It wasn't the right time.
And then kind of never really thought much about it again, thought it was a cool opportunity.
She stayed in Huron, working and rodeoing while living with her parents. But that all changed the month after Jacey visited Wyoming's campus. Here's Jacey's sister, Tarin.
My sister-in-law never really calls me during the day. I'm like, okay, that's weird, but I texted him, like, hey, I'm on a work call, and I can't remember if she called me again or what happened, but we weren't able to connect. My husband called me, and I don't know what happened, but he goes, Kelsey called me. She was really upset. Something happened at the house.
The house Tarin is referring to is her parents' home. William and LaDonna Hupp were watching their 3 grandchildren, Miles, Royce, and 6-month-old Harper. Not knowing what was going on, Tarin and her husband dashed to her parents' house.
We came over the hill. There was nothing left standing of the house, the garage, and the outbuilding. There was nothing left standing.
A propane explosion left the property nearly desolate. Tarin and her husband were barred from going anywhere near the estate. She desperately searched for answers. Eventually, a close family friend who had made it inside the police barricades approached them.
I need to know. Nobody's told me anything. And he's like, I don't know how to tell you, and I'm so sorry. But your mom didn't make it, and Harper didn't make it. And I saw the ambulance go out, and Dad was in the ambulance, and the boys were in the ambulance. And there was just a moment. We lost Mom. We lost Harper. We lost the house, but we can't lose Dad. No way will it take all 3.
Tarin and her brother Trevor, who is the father of the 3 children, rushed to the hospital with the rest of the family.
And we got to talk to Dad just a little bit. He had coded a little or something, and then they were just getting him steady to go back for an MRI, and Trevor and I went and checked on him, and we had kind of gotten the steady, we're gonna go get a scan, like we'll see. And then it didn't make it. So I talk about, a really hard moment being when Jacey got to the hospital, and I didn't get to get a hug from Jacey and to get through it together and to go help Dad. I had to tell her Dad didn't make it, plus Mom in Harbor.
I remember for about a week after the accident, I was kind of in zombie mode. Wasn't really eating, wasn't really sleeping, just kind of there. And I really don't remember what flipped things, but I couldn't talk to God for about a week. We were driving by the hospital where essentially my dad passed away in, and they took Harper and Mom too, even though they already passed. And I remember just asking my sister, like, how is it for you living in this town and driving by the hospital every day?
She asked me a hard question, and I answered honestly.
And she just kind of said, well, I try to think of it as a place of new and birth versus a place of death. And then right at that moment, we were driving by, my parents' wedding song came on the radio.
I'm like, well, Mom and Dad wanted you to know it's hard, girls. Keep putting one foot in front of the other.
We lost our mom and dad, and we lost a 7-month baby girl in that tragedy.
Jacey and Tarin's brother, Trevor.
You talk about just flipping the world upside down, but what it has done is truly give us a recognition of what we had. And we told each other during the funeral, obviously we wish we had more time with Mom and Dad, but the time that we had with Mom and Dad was so powerful. We truly feel like we got as much done in that short amount of time as most people ever get.
So I'm really proud of my siblings, especially for how we've handled all this and how we've never let it come between our relationship. And I will forever be proud of that.
We can't change what has happened. We can't change the past. The only thing we can change is tomorrow and the next day and what we do going forward.
One of our good family friends, I think it was Jacey's friend, said, if you look, heaven will wink at you. And since she said to me, and I try, I don't always have my eyes or ears open, but I notice a lot more.
I woke up and just had Harper in my mind, and I just started praying for her. And I walk outside to let the dogs out. And I kid you not, it was like you swipe on Instagram and put a pink filter on. It was pink. I even sent it to my sister-in-law, and she's like, is this real? And I was like, yes, it is. And I wasn't open-hearted and open-minded enough right away to see them, but the stronger my relationship got with God and the more trust I put in his plan, the more I could really see those beautiful little things.
People have said, I can't imagine how you guys are doing this. I can't imagine that you're able to do this. And the reality is we didn't have a choice. People reached out to us. People got behind us.
People have helped us along the way.
And we used our strength.
Financial muscles were flexed by the Huron community to help the Hupps, all thanks to Trevor's friends.
And they just said, we want to do something for you guys, and put on this golf tournament.
The tournament even bore the family's name.
So the Hupp Cup, it was kind of, gotta love the name. It rolls right off the tongue. I think Jacey joked, I wish I would have thought of that name. But we didn't, but we love it. It's so catchy. So the first year, businesses poured in to help. They did a live auction and a silent auction, and the outpouring was amazing. So Jacey and I are like, well, we'll be there then. Like, if you guys are there, we'll all be there. And it was hard seeing everybody. But it was so good for them to just kind of wrap your arms around you and let's go do something different. You guys rope and do that. How about we golf?
And the amount of people that I know, including myself, had never golfed before that showed up to be at that was really special.
The Hupp Cup returned in 2024 with help from the Hupp family.
This year, Trevor and Kelsey got to have some fun and get on it. Kelsey had went and found the buckles, had them designed, and it was so cool to see it on people's faces, like what that changed. Or some of the non-golfers, like, never thought of myself as a buckle man or woman, but I want that buckle.
We can't say thank you to everybody, and we can't do it appropriately. But what we can do is we can take what they give us, the strength and the power, and just being behind us, keep moving forward and keep helping others.
The golf tournament raised almost $20,000, with the money this time going to charitable causes, in honor of Bill, LaDonna, and Harper Hupp.
Kind of the reason why I drove 600 miles to make the second annual Hupp Cup.
Jacey had moved from her hometown, which explains her long road back to Huron and the Hupp Cup. The University of Wyoming came calling again, just months after her parents died.
The first time I met Jacey, I could just really tell she was a genuine person.
This is Seth Glause, Wyoming's head rodeo coach. He was hired to the position not long after Jacey told the Cowboys she didn't want to be a coach in April of 2023.
She is just kind of one of those people that you want to be around, and always draws you to be around her. Had a passion for rodeo, had a passion to help others.
I hadn't thought about it so long, and I just told him, like, you caught me so off guard. My initial thought was there's just no way. I lived with my parents when they passed. I was kind of keeping everything afloat, and I took pride in doing that. So my siblings or another family had to worry about it, and I still had my job in town, and so I just thought there's no way in heck. I was actually on my way to a rodeo with a few of the girls kind of from around my hometown, and I called my brother and I just said they offered it to me, and I'm like, there's no way, right? He goes, I don't know, Jacey. He goes, if it was a year from now, probably, yeah, we could do it. But he goes, I don't know right now. And I go, I know, I don't think so either. And then I think my brother and I called every 12 hours. And then I know he put pencil to paper and I put pencil to paper of just pros and cons and all the things.
And the biggest, the con was just circumstances. You know, the timing of the tragedy, all that we were dealing with, mom and dad's estate, me personally and my family, and the loss of our baby girl, and getting Miles and Royce healed up. So there was a lot going on, and we just truly came to a conclusion as a family that that's not a very valid excuse, you know, because the question came back, well, would you take this job if this tragedy hadn't happened? And that answer was yes. I was crying before I even called her because I knew after I got done talking to Jacey, she was going to take the job. And all she needed to hear was her older brother and her siblings telling her that it's okay, we got this, you go take this job and, you know, essentially follow your dreams.
Kind of a ball of emotions right now, but there was no lapse in time because every decision I made went through you guys, and your support and your thoughts about it were everything. I needed it. If you guys would have told me don't do it, I wouldn't have done it probably.
God has a plan. I don't always appreciate his storytelling and his plan, but I think home would have been harder to leave if my parents were still alive because I had it really good. I didn't have a reason to leave. Horses ate for free. So with their passing, it almost made this opportunity easier is a tough term to use, but essentially it made it easier to take this opportunity and be the women's coach.
Jacey started working at the University of Wyoming the beginning of September 2023.
My very first day when I was meeting everybody, they jumped out of their office and shook my hand and was genuinely excited to meet me and see me and get to know me.
So she stepped in, had to hit the ground running, and she never missed a beat. She walked in, we were tying goats one day, and she said, hi, I'm Jacey, and introduced herself to the students. And we just rolled on from there, and we've just created a great working relationship and friendship, and one that we can bounce ideas off each other and learn from, and continue to help each other grow as coaches.
I feel more than comfortable telling him, you know, like, for instance, Thursday is my mom's birthday, and I feel comfortable telling him that and just saying, I'm assuming it'll be business as usual, but it might not be too. And he's opened up that door for me to be comfortable to say those things, and I couldn't imagine not working for someone that would let me do that. Seth and I are pretty passionate about having a culture and a warm environment in this barn, and it should be serious, but it should be fun at the same time. Like, we want people to be passionate and love it and have a place and an avenue and the opportunity to feed it.
Jacey's perspective on rodeo has changed since her family's accident and becoming Wyoming's women's rodeo coach.
When I was competing, it was probably more self-centered. You know, how can I get myself better? How can I make my horses better? And it's definitely now a flip of how can I make everyone else better? What are the little things I can do inside the barn or outside the barn? What are some different strategies? So I think it's just a lot more selfless approach to rodeo.
I think students know they can talk to Jacey about situations and things that they might not otherwise be comfortable talking to people. She can share her experience and what she's gone through and how to help them maybe navigate the situation that they're going through.
One of our students one time, we were saddling horses up at the same time one morning, and she I'd just say, good morning, how are things going, yada, yada, and she it's going good, and kind of rolled her eyes and just was like, okay, well, it's going to get better, or I can't even tell you what I said, but she just goes, I had a pretty tough morning already, and then she goes, just seeing you and smiling and telling me good morning, she's like, well, Jacey, you've been through hell, and if you can come show up and have a good day and give the day the opportunity, I can too.
Jacey has not only inspired the Cowboys and Cowgirls on her team, but they've inspired her as well.
Some of them, when I share things about my family, like whether it's anniversary or something, and my parents, will comment on my stuff or text me individually. Some of them, like if they know it's my dad's birthday or something, make a point to give me a hug. One of the boys on the team, actually, he lost his father about 3 years ago, and he texted me on Christmas and just said, I know it's your first one without your parents, and he was thinking of me even though he was missing someone that day too. My dad always said that having a bad day, bad moment, it'll go away within 15 minutes if you're on the back of a horse. So I've definitely had my days or my moments, and just finding the courage to catch a horse and put a saddle on and go off has definitely helped me in more ways than I can count.
More horseback rides are in Jacey's future, along with showing her team, her family, and her hometown what it truly means to be a cowgirl.
I think what it means to be a cowgirl is being a part of something bigger than you, having a unselfish bone in your body to help others, preserving a way of life that's definitely seems to be phasing out in a lot of areas of the world. I say it pretty cheesily quite a bit, but it's true. We need the culture, we need the people, we need the heritage, the history. The world needs more cowboys and cowgirls.
Cowgirl Up Like Jacey Hupp is produced and written by Whitney Sheffield and Cleon Wall. Music and post-production by Kevin West. Make sure you watch BYUTV's Big Stories by logging on to BYUSN.com. Big Stories is a production of BYU Radio.